AM 1220 KHTS, I'm Key Budge. Glad to have you aboard here on a Friday. Special show today. In studio, Deputy Josh Dubin, Detective Bill Velick from the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff's Station. They're talking about public safety, the impact that is affecting the Santa Clarita Valley, juveniles in particular. We've got some bills we're going to talk about some programs, but while we're off the air, you're starting to get questions that we can address. We're going to do that in the last segment. Let's go ahead and put out your Twitter address and the Facebook information for people to contact. If they have a question, they can send it right now, and we'll get to those before we get off the air.
Absolutely.
But let's send out that information if people want to connect.
Well, if you have a question or a comment, you can send us a tweet at JDLASD or at SCV Sheriff. We have a station Facebook page. Just go onto Facebook and search Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. You'll find our page on there. It has a picture of the front of our station as our main photo. And we also encourage you to sign up for the Nixle service, although we're not utilizing that right this minute. It's a great service, www.nixle.com, Nixle.
Very good. Now, Bill, just before we took the break, you were talking about some of the impact that you and the J team have here in Santa Clarita Valley with our youth, particularly in the narcotic world. And you had just talked about some of the impact of the juveniles telling the parents for the first time, where they're hearing it from their kids' mouths, that they've been involved in drugs and they're kind of surprised. But I know you've got programs and other things that you do that we can share with the parents.
One of the things we do when parents call, whether the kids have been arrested or not, if parents call us and say that they're having a problem with drug abuse or drug use, we refer them to any number of programs that are available. The two big ones in Santa Clarita Valley is Action Family Counseling and A Light of Hope. They're both great resources for counseling, drug education, and those things. There's also, and I have lists of stuff that we use.
Well, let's share some of that because it's really valuable information that we're sharing right now. If it's handy to you, because this is a place that we want to get this information out, and we can send them obviously back if they have questions to your Twitter or to the station's website to get this information if they don't happen to get it.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
For other meetings and counseling places that are out here, the Stepping Stones is out here, the Al-Anon family groups, Alcoholics Anonymous, Child and Family Center does work for us. Eden Ministries has a facility out here. Narcotics Anonymous. We now have the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependency is on Lyons Avenue now. Unfortunately, the only live-in facilities we have for long-term care is through Action Family Counseling. They have a juvenile and an adult facility. That's the only one currently in our city. All the others are outpatient types. But we do have the information for live-in facilities, for longer detox programs in the surrounding communities that are in San Fernando Valley, Granada Hills, Piru, Bakersfield, Santa Paula. We can get all that information out there. We work closely with individuals that'll come out. They'll actually come to the station. They'll go to the house and help with the intervention. He's an intervention specialist that is out there all the time with us.
Well, I know that Alex Urbina and the Action Family crew, they have a big involvement here at KHTS, and they have their own show on Mondays. But I know their involvement in the community is very deep. And so they have a relationship, a working relationship to a certain degree with you?
Yes, we do a lot with them. They have the zone where the kids can go after school over on Salt Lake Canyon at Ruther. They also started doing the Tide program for youth that needed some. If they get caught on campus, they get in trouble at school with drugs or alcohol. We'll have them go to the Tide program. It's a 3-day program where they get a drug education. My partner Bob Walksmith and I actually go in and do an hour with them there every week and talk about the law enforcement aspect of using drugs, what trouble they can get into, what to expect once they do get a ticket and they have to go to court, what kind of penalties there are, so they can understand what the legal aspects that they get into, what the repercussions could be.
Now, I heard the Tide program through Action Family has been hugely successful.
Yes.
So you're a big part of that then if you have a segment where you come in. So we have a partnership, a community partnership with Action Family, the Sheriff's Department, other entities. But the success, I heard, is really kind of uncanny. You got to pat yourselves on the back to be involved in it, and the crew at Action Family, Alex Urbina and crew, for putting this together for the kids. As far as what kind of kids can participate, or how do they get to participate in that? Is it from the schools, or is it
the TIDE program is specifically through the Hart School District? Kids that would normally maybe be suspended from school, instead of being out of school, they go to the TIDE program for their school day and get an education, just so they can learn what it is that they've been putting in their bodies and why it's bad. We see kids that make choices. We tell kids all the time, just say no, just say no. There's all kinds of slogans out there. But when they make that choice, obviously telling them don't do it didn't work. So we need to educate them as to why we're telling them to say no. Don't just say no because I said so. Only dopes use dope. We can't do that stuff. We have to educate them as to why we tell them to say no. And they get it.
We have to bring our level of education, we have to modernize it, just like we have with technology, Josh,
Right.
like we talked about. This level of law enforcement, everything doesn't stay the same. There are certain things that you do and you react a certain way, but you have to learn to communicate to the audience you're trying to reach.
Right.
And I can see that that's what you are involved in, is trying to learn how to communicate. Because obviously it's not about filling juvenile hall and potentially the county jails and the state prisons. We'd like to intervene in these kids' lives and send them in that other direction.
Yeah, we also, because that's the intervention side of it, we also do the prevention side and get them the education out in front. That's where the Defiant program that kicked off in our schools this year. It's a drug-free youth in town. It's a on-campus anti-drug program that the kids volunteer to join, and they get a drug education. They get to do a lot of fun events. It's sponsored by the city and the school district. The sheriff's department, we were involved on the front end, doing research as what kind of programs will work. We researched all over the country. The Defiant program was one we found. We liked it. We bring it in. And then as I see new trends coming into the city or in the surrounding communities, I can notify the leadership of, these are the drugs that are out there. This is where other communities are trending. We need to educate our kids on this now. So the kids, we partner with the schools on the front end so that they can get the information and the education to the kids before they ever start using drugs.
Preventative programs, whether it's preventative medicine, it's preventative work that we do in our cars, preventative programs for education for drug use is probably not something, I know we've had little programs, but this seems to be a little bit more in depth in trying to stay in tune with really what's going on today.
Yes, and we try and stay out in front of it. I communicate with other people in my position in other cities. I work with LAPD. I go to the Phoenix House once a month, and I help do a program with them called the Speak Up program, which is a great program that LAPD does for kids that are in the Phoenix House. I talk to other law enforcement in San Diego, in Las Vegas, and we talk about different trends that we're seeing so that we can get ahead of it, and I pass that information along to the folks in the Defiant program so that they can get the education out in front of what we're going to see, things that are starting to creep into our community.
What schools are participating with the Defiant program?
All of our high schools and junior high schools in the valley.
Now, are there any drug awareness programs that we reach out to the younger kids, or are we starting in the 6th, 7th grade? Is that where we're starting our education base?
We're looking at we're doing the research on it right now on what can be brought down into the elementary schools. It's not we're not quite ready. We just started this program a year ago, so it's still a work in progress. We're looking at it and we're seeing what we need to do and how we do it. A lot more campuses once we get involved with the elementary schools.
What I like hearing is that you're continuing to educate yourself, and so the program can develop as it needs to. It's not just here it is, it fits in this box, and this is where it stays. You're looking to expand it as the needs of the community and the needs of our kids. That's what you guys are trying to focus on.
Yes.
So that's huge. I love that. Now, between the two of you, do you guys partner up and sharing information with the marketing genius that sits here to your right? Josh, the amount of work that you do, just getting out the information to the public is amazing. But I can see that there's a tie-in between reaching the kids. So is there something with the social media that we've got a tie-in with everything that the J team is doing?
Well, yes, absolutely. And I think it was the vision under Captain Becker when he created the crime prevention unit, is that a lot of information comes into us between the weekly crime reports, between emails that we get from the public we serve, between the Twitter and the Facebook and everything like that. We're able to take that information and we're able to pass it on to the J team or our SAT team. We're able to pass it on to patrol deputies, and so that we station-wide, whether the information's coming in Twitter, whether it's coming in by an email, whether I get a phone call from a concerned resident, we're able to pass that information along, and I think that's very important. On the flip side of that, we routinely listen to social media. And if something's going on that we see maybe in one of our schools or something like that, we get in front of that immediately. We're able to work with the J team. We're able to work with some of these special teams at our station through our headquarters bureau and really kind of get in front of that. A recent example, West Ranch High School. On Monday. That was a social media thing that started. We were immediately able to jump on that. We worked throughout the weekend. We had meetings on Sunday with school administrators, school staff, the principal of the school, our members of the J team, and really were able to work through the issue immediately. So I think that's something that's very important as far as staying ahead of the curve.
Are you able to tell with the audience that follows you and the sheriff station's Twitter accounts, do you ever look at the profiles so you can see how much of the younger audience that you're getting, or do you even know? I know that sometimes I look at my Twitter account and look to see, I kind of base what my demographic is that starts to follow. Do you see any? Are you pulling in the younger audience?
Some are, some are a younger crowd. Some are, just people that engage via Twitter. On our Santa Clarita at SCV Sheriff Twitter account, right now we're up to 4,200 and something followers. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of community members. And then if you think about when we post a message on Twitter, if some of those 4,200 people, then it's called a retweet, obviously like a copy and paste the type of message to their followers, we could reach 100,000 people within minutes. It's a really, really powerful tool. And we tell kids all the time that we come in contact with that this social media in general is an extremely powerful tool, and it's something that is obviously very positive for the people that use it and engage, but it also can be easily abused.
You're absolutely right. I tell you, one of the most powerful moments with social media for me that I can pull out was the Bin Laden. And I remember watching a baseball game, and all of a sudden you could start to see the buzz in the crowd. Before it's been released and there's a press release on national media, the Twitter crowd, and the crowd is chanting USA, USA, USA. And the ball players are just stopped and just kind of look around and go, what's going on? And it was the Twitter world had exploded on that our SEAL team had captured and the Bin Laden situation had come to a conclusion right there. But it went like in a second. It was worldwide,
right,
because of Twitter. It was amazing. So the impact that you're talking about,
right?
You got over 4,000 followers at the station. Someone retweets and they've got 400 or 500 or 1,000 and so on and so on. It's like that old commercial where you tell a friend, they tell a friend, and so on and so forth. And before you know it, before you can even get the press release out,
right, that
information is shared and people know instantly.
Right. A good example of that, the Boston Marathon bombing. If you look at the Boston Police Department, their Twitter feed, they were putting out some information and correcting some information that was being shared on social media. And within minutes, they had 100,000 retweets. This police department in Boston now has over 300,000 followers on Twitter. They were the voice of calm, the voice of reason. This is a very, very intense situation that was going on there, and they were able to safely use social media to reach out to the people that they serve.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to deal with some questions that we have from the community. If there's anyone listening right now that would like to share a question via the social media, your address, they can send it directly to you, because if there has some follow-up, you can take it back to the station with you.
Absolutely, yeah.
What's the address for folks to send a question to you right now?
At SCV Sheriff on Twitter, at JD LASD, or on our Facebook page, go onto Facebook, search Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station.
Right. AM 1220 KHTS, I'm Key Budge. In studio, Josh Dubin, Detective Bill Velick. We'll be back with more in just a moment.